Hi everybody. We took the first step in building our app, which was design a screen. And we made a screen for a world religions app. We made one example about a specific religion, Islam. And we put a lot of information on the screen. Now we're going to bring that information into our code. We're going to create an object to hold the information from the screen. So you can see right now we're hard coding onto the screen using the design tab information about the religion. But we're going to create an object to hold that in our code. And an object, you just create a variable. So you just declare a variable, we'll call it var Islam equals. And to make something a variable, an object, you use these curly brackets. And we're going to put, between these curly brackets, we're going to put a list of properties and values. For example, the name property is going to be Islam. And then comma, because it's a list of properties and values. And the icon property is going to have a value of crescent.jpg, comma. And the founder property is going to have a value of Muhammad. All right, so notice what we're doing here. We're making a list of properties. The properties are variable names, no quotation mark, associated with a value, and they're separated by this colon. So we have the property name, and then the value Islam, and then a comma to separate it from the next property value pair. So the property is icon, colon, and then the value is crescent.jpg. And notice that the values are all strings. We could have a value that is a number. We can have a value that is an array. We can have a value that is another object. Let's keep building. So let's have a text property is equal to this string Quran, comma for the next item on the list. And then we'll have a philosophy property, and the value of that is 5 pillars. And we'll keep going with our list of properties and values. We'll have a sacred underscore city property, colon, and its value is Mecca. And then let's create a property that is an object inside of an object. So let's have a buildings property, and its value is going to be an object. So that buildings property has a value that's an object, and we'll say it's got a name property, and we'll say mosque. And let's have an example property, and we'll say the example is the grand mosque. And let's also give it an image property, and its value is going to be the grand mosque.png. So notice this buildings property in our object has a value that is itself another object. So this is a nested object. Inside the Islam object, the property building has its own object, which has 3 properties: name, example, and image, and then the 3 values associated with those 3 properties. So now we're back at the top level, and we'll keep going with the list, and we'll add, let's say, a color property, and we'll make the color green is associated with Islam. And then we're done. We've got a nice Islam object which contains a bunch of information about Islam. So then if we wanted another property, we could just shift and highlight all of this, Command C, Command V, I'm sorry, not another property, but let's create another object. So then we would go on and create a Christianity object, and we would keep the same properties: name, icon, founder, text. These would not change from object to object, but the values would change. So the name would be Christianity, and then the icon would be, we have a cross image loaded in, and the founder would be Jesus, and this text would be the Bible. So You get the idea. So when you're creating your app, you don't want to create an object for every single piece of information in your app. Probably 3 objects is sufficient, because then once you're building your app, you might decide, you might change some things. You might add properties or delete properties. So you wouldn't want to build out all, say, 25 objects for all the things you're going to display in your app. Just create a sample of 3 is probably a good number. And then you can practice displaying those objects to the screen and manipulating those objects. So it gives you enough to work with without locking you into something that you wouldn't want to change. Okay, so that's the next step in building your app. Model your objects model your data by building these objects for the information in your app. All right, thanks for watching.